Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Thursday, May 26, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to leave your baseball picks in the comments section below. Now, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at Pickdawgz.com. I'm running a daily $15 MLB best bet, so check it out at Pick Dawgz Premium. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Thursday, May 26th. First up, we take a look at the afternoon contest between the Chicago Cubs and the Cincinnati Reds. Justin Steele and Hunter Greene are your projected starters. Now, this is a tough game for me, as we've seen both of these pitchers struggle at times. We've also seen some of the best from these starters. You know, Hunter Greene threw a combined no-hitter, even though he got the loss in that game against the Pirates. Justin Steele started off the season not in his best form, but now his ERA is below 4 at 3.82. So this is a little bit of a difficult game for me, but I do think Justin Steele is a better starter for me. You know, Hunter Greene still has some issues with the home run ball and the walks. Although he has really good strikeout stuff, he's got 11.44 Ks per 9, which I like to see. He just is giving up too many homers and walks, 5.03 walks per 9, 2.75 home runs per 9. So that 5.49 ERA looks bad, but the 6.3 FIP looks even worse. He's at Hitter's Ballpark at Great American right here. I know the Cubs lineup isn't the strongest on paper or against righties team OPS-wise, but like I said, I do think Justin Steele is the better option on the mound here with a 3.82 ERA, a 2.92 expected ERA, and an even better 2.76 FIP. He's striking out batters. The walks have been a little bit of an issue, but he's been able to limit those as of late, and the home runs haven't been a problem for him at all. He's not giving up many hard contact hits, and 0.27 home runs per 9 looks really strong. So I'm going to lean with the Cubs in this spot. I'm going to take them on the money line. Next up, we see the Washington Nationals taking on the Colorado Rockies. Patrick Corbin and German Marquez, a pair of struggling veterans going at it in this one. Now, both pitchers have had all-star quality seasons in the past, but this year has not been kind to them. They both have ERAs above 6 this season. But I do think I'm going to lean towards the Nationals on the money line in this spot. We know the Rockies have really struggled on the road, not only this season, but in seasons past. When leaving Coors Field, it's been really tough for the Rockies, and we saw them lose a series to the lowly Pittsburgh Pirates earlier this week, and they really weren't impressive in the first game. The offense really struggled. Even in Game 2, when they won the game in extra innings, the offense just wasn't there. And then in Game 3, when the offense woke up a little bit, the bullpen, one of the worst bullpens in baseball, really struggled and blew a big lead to the Pirates, gave up 10 runs in that one. So just haven't been impressed by these Rockies on the road this year. The Nationals much rather prefer right-handed pitching than lefties, and they're facing a righty here. They're 18th in baseball in team OPS against righties. You know, not too bad, but I still think Patrick Corbin is the slightly better option on the mound here. German Marquez is giving up too many home runs this season, 1.64 homers per 9. And although Patrick Corbin has also struggled, the home runs he's allowing is actually less than last season. He's actually struck out more batters than last year as well. So I'm going to take the Nationals here at home. I'm going to continue to fade the Rockies on the road until they show me some kind of sign of life on the road. Next up, we see the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Atlanta Braves. Aaron Nola and Kyle Wright are your starters, and I think this is a pitcher's duel that we have on our hands here. Aaron Nola, 3.96 ERA. I do think he's one of the unluckier pitchers. He hasn't really been able to win ball games for the Phillies this season, 1-4 record, but still 5th in the league in strikeouts, 64 Ks in 52 1/3 innings, and a .99 whip is 13th in the league, so solid below 1 whip this year for Nola. The biggest issue for him has been he's had 1 or 2 rough innings in certain outings. We saw that against the Dodgers, where he was dominant in the first few innings of that game and then struggled at the end of that outing, and he wasn't able to get the win for the Phillies as the bullpen blew that game in the end. But, Nola overall this season, 9 strikeouts his last outing, 8 strikeouts the previous one, 6, 7, 9. I mean, he is missing bats. The home run ball has been an issue for him, and he's usually had 1 rough inning that just blemishes the entire outing. But I do think he's going to pitch well here. And in Kyle Wright's case, a real positive surprise for the Braves this season. 2.49 ERA is 15th in the league. 56 strikeouts is 10th in the league with 56 Ks in 47 innings. A 1.09 whip is in the top 25 in starting pitchers. Coming off a 5-inning shutout performance against the Marlins with 6 strikeouts. He has been a big surprise for the Braves, and I do think he pitches well as also here against the Phillies lineup that prefers left-handed pitchers than righty. So I'm going to take the under in this game. I think it's going to be a close one, probably an exciting game to watch as well. Give me the under in the Phillies Braves. Next up, we see the New York Yankees taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, we don't have an official starter for the Rays quite yet. We should see Nestor Cortes for the Yankees. Now, Nestor Cortes has pitched well overall this season. Of course, 1.8 ERA is fifth in the league, 56 strikeouts in 45 innings, but he hasn't been as dominant in his last few starts. Now, he did face a really solid White Sox lineup against lefties in his last two outings. He did give up at least one home run in 3 of his last 4 starts. The walks have also been an issue at times in those last 4 starts also. We saw him give up a 3-run moonshot to Jose Abreu in his last outing. And I do think the Rays, the team has just dominated the Yankees, especially at Tropicana Field. I do worry about the Yankees in the spot. We saw Giancarlo Stanton get added to the injured list, so they are going to be without a big bat in Giancarlo, who's off to a great start this season for the Yanks. And I think this is a spot, this is a one-sided rivalry. The Rays do not like the Yankees whatsoever. I think they get the win here at home. This is going to be a really fun series to watch, a 4-game series between two teams that really hate each other, especially as of late. And that 2020 ALDS, it was a very heated series in the regular season as well. But I'm going to take the Rays in game 1 of this series, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this series go 2-2 by the end of it. Next up, we see the St. Louis Cardinals hosting the Milwaukee Brewers. Eric Lauer and Adam Wainwright are your starters for this one. Now, the Cardinals have really dominated against left-handed pitching. I've mentioned it on the show before. They're number 2 in baseball in isolated power against lefties, and number 1 in baseball with a team OPS of 860 against left-handed pitching in 305 plate appearances this season. Now, that's not a ton of plate appearances when you look at some of the other teams in the league, but they're still crushing lefties to start the year. And Eric Lauer has had an issue at times with the long ball. He's given up a combined 5 home runs in his last 4 starts, and a very powerful Cardinals lineup I think is going to be able to get to him here. While on the other side, Adam Wainwright, sure, he's had issues with the home run ball as of late, giving up a homer in each of his last 2. But on the season, his numbers really say that he's going to be able to limit homers going forward. He's in the top 80th percentile in average exit velocity allowed, and the top 95th percentile in hard hit percentage. His curveball spin has been fantastic this season, and I do think he has a strong outing against the Brewers in this one. The Brewers are a very powerful lineup, but if Wainwright's numbers, he's limiting hard contact overall this season, I do think it's going to be tough for Milwaukee offensively in this spot. So I like the Cardinals here. I think they are the favorites for the right reason. This is a very big series for St. Louis to try to get back into that division race. I'm going to take them on the money line in game 1. Next up, we see the Boston Red Sox taking on the Chicago White Sox. Michael Wacha and Dallas Keuchel are your starters here. Now, I do think this is a pretty weak pitching matchup that we have here. Michael Wacha, sure, he has that 1.76 ERA, but I don't think that that's going to last much longer. And we did see already the signs of regression show up in his last outing. The Red Sox were able to win the ball game 7-3, but Wacha struggled quite a bit. 4 2/3 innings he was only able to get through. He gave up 4 hits, 2 earned runs, a home run, and 3 walks. In Wacha's career, the walks and the home runs have been issues at times. So far in 2022, not really the biggest issue, but we saw it in his last outing. And even though the White Sox have been great against righties, I do think they're going to be able to make Wacha pay in this spot, especially if Wacha's not on his A game. Dallas Keuchel on the other side is not a guy I can back in this spot either. 2-4 with a 6.6 ERA. He's only got 16 strikeouts in 30 innings. He was rocked by the Yankees in his last outing. So sure, he pitched well against New York in his first start of the season against them. He pitched 5 shutout innings. But in his next start at Yankee Stadium, 4 innings, 6 hits, 6 earned runs, gave up a grand slam to DJ LeMahieu, 3 walks, and not a single strikeout. I think the Red Sox get to Keuchel in this spot also. So I'm going to take the over in the Red Sox-White Sox. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins hosting the Kansas City Royals. Daniel Lynch and Devin Smeltzer are your starters here. Now, I know Devin Smeltzer has a 1.74 ERA to start the year, but he is nowhere near a -180, -185 pitcher in my opinion, even at home and even against the struggling Royals. Smeltzer's only got 2 strikeouts in his first 10 1/3 innings this season, 3 walks allowed in those innings as well. And although the Royals' bats have struggled for the most part this season, they are starting to get a little bit better, especially against lefties, where they're now ranked 21st in team OPS. They were ranked 30th not too long ago, so making some improvements with the sticks. Daniel Lynch, I still think, not a guy that I trust too much, but I think he is the better option on the mound, just slightly for the Royals. He did struggle a little bit against the Twins in his last start, but the total is set really low for this game with the wind blowing in this one. So I don't think the ball is going to carry much, and that benefits Lynch, a guy who's had issues with the long ball at times in his career. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game, so I lean towards the under, but I do think there is some value on the underdog, at least on the run line here. I could see a 3-2 final score in either team's favor, but I'm going to take the run line with the Royals plus 1.5. The Twins' offense has struggled at least the last 2 games against the Tigers, and I think this is going to be another low-scoring contest in Minnesota. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Detroit Tigers. The projected starters are Aaron Savale and Tariq Skubal, but we don't have an official lineup for this game quite yet, so we could see a pitching change. I do think that matters quite a bit in this particular matchup. You know, sometimes we see a pitching scratch. It really doesn't matter for the game's outcome, but I think if Tariq Skubal isn't the guy for the Tigers, I do think Detroit is in trouble, but I do think Skubal gives Detroit their best chance to win a game in this series. And the Tigers have really struggled this season, 13 games below 500, but Skubal has been their best starter in the rotation, and it's not even close. 2.22 ERA, 2.01 FIP. The strikeouts are there. He's limited walks, and he's limited home runs. The home run ball really hurt him last season with Detroit, but this year, 0.4 home runs per 9. Really, really solid numbers from Skubal. And the Guardians overall this season have really struggled against lefties. Right now, they're ranked 28th in baseball in team OPS against lefties and 26th in baseball in isolated power against lefties. So I do think Skubal pitches well, just like he did last time he faced this Guardians lineup. On the other side, Aaron Savale has had issues with the home run ball, 1.74 homers per 9. That's the reason you see his ERA above 7 this year. Now, with this game's line not being out quite yet, I would pretty much expect we're going to see one of these starters not going tomorrow. But if Skubal is the starter, I'm going to take the Tigers on the money line. If he isn't, I'm going to pass on this game. So look at make sure you're checking the information and see who the starting pitchers are. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, Mitch White and Humberto Castellanos should be your starters for this one. We saw the Dodgers not look too inspiring on the field on Wednesday afternoon as they sat some of their stars and they weren't able to do much of anything offensively. It just kind of looked like they weren't too concerned with that game at all. Kind of, a little bit of a bummer to see if you're a Dodgers fan or a Dodgers backer. Just didn't look like their heart was really into that game, but I do think they sharpened up for this game and score plenty on Humberto Castellanos. The Dodgers still on the year are one of the best teams in baseball lineup-wise against right-handed pitching, and I do think Castellanos is one of the weaker links in this Diamondbacks rotation, a pretty strong rotation overall. But Castellanos in his last 3 starts have given up 5 home runs combined, and that's not going to get it done against this Dodgers lineup. And Mitch White on the other side, we haven't seen a ton from him this season, but we did see him struggle a little bit against this Diamondbacks lineup in his only start. He faced them in an inning and a third, a home run, 2 total runs, a walk as well. This Diamondbacks lineup is really, really powerful, and he's given up at least 1 homer in his last 2 outings. I think White gets hit in this spot also, and I wouldn't want to lay that kind of price with the Dodgers, especially after that performance on Wednesday. So I'm going to take the over in this game. The total is set pretty high for a domed game, but I think we see plenty of scoring and plenty of long balls in this one. Next up, we see the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Los Angeles Angels. Hyun-Jin Ryu and Shohei Ohtani are your starters here. Now, Hyun-Jin Ryu just hasn't shown me enough for me to want to back him in this spot. He's facing an Angels lineup that's 8th in baseball in team OPS against lefties. And Ryu struggled this year, even though he hasn't really faced the toughest lineups this season. Rangers, Athletics, Reds, and Rays. The Rays must be the toughest spot for him this year. But this Angels lineup is a lot better. And I think Shohei Ohtani, guy who's coming off a 6-inning, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeout performance, pitched well overall this year with plenty of strikeouts. I think Ohtani delivers in this spot for the Angels also. So I'm going to take the Angels here on the money line. Should be a very entertaining series between 2 teams that were projected a lot this year in the American League. The Angels have kind of shown it already. The Blue Jays struggled at times, but I'm going to take the Halos on the money line for the first game of this set. In our final game of the night, we see the Texas Rangers taking on the Oakland Athletics. Martin Perez and Frankie Montas are your starters. Now, both pitchers have pitched well in 2022. Perez has really had a surprising season with that 1.64 ERA. That's 4th in the American League. Now, I don't think he's going to be able to sustain those kind of numbers. I still think he'll be solid this season and maybe even an all-star candidate, perhaps a potential trade deadline piece that the Rangers can move if they're a seller yet again. But I still think the Athletics are the better team in this spot, and I do think they have the better starter overall. Montas may have the steeper ERA, but he's got 55 strikeouts and 50 2/3 innings. Coming off an outing where he wasn't able to get out of the second inning, not because of his performance, but because of an injury concern. He went an inning and 2/3 against the Angels, 2 strikeouts. Before that, They only gave up 2 earned runs in 6 innings with 12 strikeouts against the Angels. The bats haven't always backed them up, but I do think they get to Perez in this spot, especially at home. So I'm going to take the Athletics here on the money line against the Rangers. And that's it. Those are the games for Thursday, May 26th. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And don't forget to put your picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.